Everyone, welcome to our leadership and transformation video today. I'm working through the art of moral leadership right now. And what does it mean for us to look at leadership primarily as a moral place to begin with, and that all leadership, all management, all sense of transformation in our lives, both organizationally as well as personally and relationally, begins from a moral framework. And so last week we were talking about integrity and trust, and referenced Stephen Covey and his book, The Speed of Trust. A lot of people are familiar with his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And all of that framework is ultimately built around this idea of trust, of character, of moral centeredness and moral leadership. And so today I want to continue extending that. We've been working our way through a book called Leading Through. Leading Through is by Kim Clark, Jonathan Clark, Aaron Clark. Obviously, they're all related to one another, all associated with Harvard Business School, Harvard Business Review. And so I want to talk about page 29 in their book, Leading Through. They have this quote: "First, because the work of leadership is distinctly human and always seeks to improve long-term viability and vitality. Leadership is a moral work. Leadership seeks to do good and to make things better for the long term." Now, I want to dissect that because that is a giant definition of leadership and the work of leadership. It's distinctly human and always seeks to improve long-term viability and vitality. Leadership is after long-term viability and vitality. So often in our instantaneous society, we are so interested in short-term results, and rarely do these short-term gains translate into long-term vitality, vibrancy, viability over time. And so I think it's really important that we, particularly as Americans, as Westerners, for me as a suburbanite person, I need to reframe what my results are and what results I'm interested in. This is not about the short term. This is about the long-term viability, vitality, and vibrancy of me, of humans, of the people around me, of my community, of my organizations, of my neighbors, of my nation, of my planet, right? And how do I involve myself as a moral leader in all of those aspects, right? How do I seek viability and vitality? Leadership is a moral work. It seeks to do good and to make things better for the long term. And so that is Clark's definition here of moral work: seeking to do good and making things better for the long term. So there's an intention to it and a result. And do my intentions and results, are they cohesive? Do they work together? So my intention is to do good, to seek to do good. And are my results actually making things better for the long term? When those two things come together, we have moral leadership. So this, as they say on page 29, is the soul of the work of leadership. And I love that they use that word soul right there. And for them, is very, very important. They're faith-oriented, faith-centered people. And so they use that word on purpose, very intentionally. The soul of the work of leadership is seeking to do good. And so I want us to take a moment and take an assessment of our soul. Where is your soul at? Is it seeking to do good? Is it seeking the good of yourself, of others, of those who are often not treated well in our society? Where is your soul at? And then they say this: the moral responsibility of leadership is inherent in the work. Meaning that we can't separate what we do in our actions, our work, from our intentions, right? These things have to be integrated together. We cannot compartmentalize what we are about in life from this sense of soul, from the sense of moral centeredness, from who we are. We have to carry it with us. Otherwise, we begin to disintegrate, right? We begin to disintegrate. We begin to have disintegrity, right? And we become this thing that is no longer a whole, but instead fall apart, literally. We come apart from ourselves, from our true sense of who we are. And when that happens, we no longer have viability or vitality. See how those all come together right there? And that's why at its core, leadership must be moral, must be grounded and founded in the moral. Otherwise, it's disintegrated and actually leads to confusion, leads to chaos, leads to all kinds of disintegration in our world and in our lives. By definition, leaders always seek to make things better, more viable, more vital. But they do that in ways that are also good. They seek to realize a higher purpose, the ultimate ends of the organization centered on meeting human needs that are deep and meaningful. And I love all of that because it re-centers what work is, what organizations are, what business is, what leadership is, what management is, what it means for us to lead and manage ourselves, what it means for us to be a part of a community, a culture, an organization, a society. And so moral leadership is what is needed for our day and time. And the call out to the people of God, you and me, is will we be that leader? Will we be a moral leader in all of the places that we go? And if so, how will we be that moral leader? How will we seek the good? How will we seek the long-term viability and vitality of the people and places that we find ourselves near? How will we be that kind of human being? And so my hope today, friends, is that you will reflect on this idea of moral leadership, that you would consider how you would begin integrating that into who you are in all of the spaces and places that you find yourself, and begin to become a whole being, an integrated being who seeks the vitality, who seeks the viability of yourself and those around you. Thanks for joining me today.